Hey guys, it's Silk here, and the other night I was just trying to play some Pacific Storm Breakthrough on Battlefield 5, and it happened that these two guys in this video were basically just 2v1ing me in the planes, and it was a really rough time. I mean, these guys are actually proper pilots. It's like you almost never see in Australian servers, but as you can see, I have the least hours out of any of these guys, and they don't have great KPMs or anything, but I think it's because they focus a lot on dogfighting. And basically, at the end of the game, one of them was just like, nice try, Silk, or something. Just a little bit of trash talk, and I kind of just said, like, you guys are just 2v1ing me, right? Like, there's not much that I can do against that. And unfortunately, I don't have any of the clips from the 2v1 because I didn't record them. I didn't expect this to actually happen, it was kind of just on the fly. But if you've ever been 2v1 by a couple good pilots, you'll know exactly what happens. One basically just loops around and around and around, and then the other one flies far away, and then they come back in, and then they just do, like, strafes on you. And they're both just using rocket pods, they're using all the dog tactics, they're flying the zeros, which are really nice. And it was just very rough. Anyways, for this next map, I don't know if it was a confident speaking, but they decided to challenge me to some 1v1s. And I was really happy to take this challenge, and that's exactly what this video is going to be about. I'm going to be showing you guys exactly what I do in the 1v1s, and some tips to win more dogfights. The fact that these guys knew the dogfighting rules, which they actually explained to me at the start of the fights, not knowing that I've actually done a lot of Battlefield 4 dogfighting, it kind of shows that they actually know how to dogfight and they've practiced dogfighting before, so dogfighting against these guys and showing you guys this footage might actually be pretty helpful, and if anything, it's some really rare footage that you don't actually see very often on Battlefield 5. Anyways, just before we start the video, if you're not already subscribed, we're getting really close to 17,000 subscribers, and it would mean a lot if I could hit that. Not to mention, if you're going to be playing Battlefield 6, I almost regret, I'll bet that you won't regret subscribing to me. Just like I did with Battlefield 5, almost all my content, I try to teach people a lot about the game, and I try to provide a perspective that a lot of people can't on Battlefield. I don't do this YouTube stuff for the money, and I really just do care about trying to help people get better at the game, and it makes me feel really good when I see all the comments saying that, you know, stuff that I actually share on my channel helps them out. Anyways, we're going to get right into these dogfights after I kill this guy, and I'll explain exactly what I'm doing, and I'll try to give you guys a bit of an idea on how to get better in some dogfights. So while I wait for this guy to respawn, real quick, if you have any questions about settings or anything, I have a video on it, I'll link in the description, but here we go. So we're in the head-on now, and I always do this diagonal turn because if they switch away from it, I get a free angle, and if not, I can always kind of adjust to where they go. It gives me a good camera perspective as well, so I like using that one. And at the moment, the dogfight is quite even. He's doing really good switches, and he's switching after I pass him, so all this is really good flying by him. Basically perfect. Again, using my rear cam to figure out where he switches and flying towards it, but now he switches within my sight. So the whole point of a switch is to change your direction in an unpredictable way to kind of get an advantage on your opponent. And what he did was a very predictable switch, and it makes me go straight onto his 6. And after that one mistake, it's over. He can't really do anything about it. And that is my dogfighting technique for the most part in Battlefield 5. I use my cameras, so my rear cam and my free look cam and my third person cam, to kind of see where they're going, and I try to make really smart plays. Always switch when I go past the enemy. Basically, after you hear the whoosh, you can switch then. And I make sure to, you know, not make any mistakes. And I wait for the enemy to make a mistake, and then I punish them for it. You'll notice that my dogfighting, unless I'm really right behind them, it never gets too aggressive. It's just kind of switching smartly and not really making any mistakes, waiting for them to do it, and then capitalizing. So here we do the horizontal again. And the mistake this pilot makes is that he doesn't fly straight towards me after a head-on engagement. He does little side tracks and rudders mid-loop, and that's just not right. You should fly straight towards where the enemy plane is unless you're doing a yo-yo cut on the offensive end. But basically, unless you're defensively countercutting actually, but that's kind of advanced stuff. All you really need to know is you want to fly straight towards the enemy plane. Don't do any of this rudder and sway to the side stuff. You want to close the distance as quick as possible, because every second that you're not getting to the enemy plane, he's getting to you, and he's getting an angle. That fight was so quick I couldn't even really explain stuff, but it's more or less because of that exact thing I said. As you can see here, this guy is much more direct, and that's what makes him a better pilot. I would say that this pilot here is the better out of the two, even though he has less hours, because he flies straight towards me after every head-on, and his switch timing is generally a bit better. Unfortunately, what he doesn't do here is he doesn't really see what I'm doing. He's not really reacting to it at all. I don't think he knows where I am in a way, because if he did, he would have done some switches here. At this point here, I'm just cutting him, so cutting into his wide loop with a little in cut, I guess you call it, like cutting in and then going straight out towards him. And I'm just getting little chip damages here. Basically, if I can get a wing clip or some engine damage, it's game over, so I'm just getting a little chip damage. And since he's not really doing anything unpredictable, I can just do a little up high cut, get back on his 6. And I'm using my rudder sparingly here to aim. I don't really use it too much in Battlefield 5. So back with the other guy, see if he learns from his mistakes last time. And what he does there is, I'm not sure. I don't think he's using full acceleration or full afterburner, but what he does do is he clips my wing. And a wing clip is often the death of you in a dogfight. If you're the exact same skill as the other pilot, the guy with the wing clip is usually going to lose. But in this case, I am able to keep on fighting through it, and my aim is really bad here, I'm sorry guys, but the wing clip makes it so hard. However, just using my cameras and basically waiting for him to make his mistakes, I'm able to pretty much watch him, cut him, and get angles. Even though the angles don't do as much damage as they should. As you can see, he's doing this sway thing, like he's switching mid-loop, and that just really isn't going to help him at all. He was better off to fly straight towards me instead of doing that, because it just gives me more time on target. Again, he's doing it. It's a major mistake this guy has. It's basically the biggest flaw in his dogfighting technique. And there we get a bit of an angle, get some damage on him, and he's on fire. But it just takes a bit of time just to get him dead. Could have probably got him there, but I didn't. And it's going to take a bit. Could have probably got him there. And I'm going to do a horizontal loop and meet him at the top of his. But it's just so hard with the wing clip, guys. Usually that would be a kill shot there, because I would just hold my horizontal loop and meet him right at the top. But the wing just makes it so hard to hold all my angles perfectly. And Battlefield 5 is a game of angles. It matters a lot. It's basically the entire skill ceiling for dogfighting is angles. So if you have a wing clip, it makes it so hard to hold that precise cut. Finally, we'll get him eventually. Bring the crosshair up, and there he is. Okay, so back in the head-on engagement, using my usual diagonal loop, I find this works really well. And this guy is much more direct with his flying, but I didn't catch his switch perfectly there. You could see exactly where he was going to turn, and that's going to give me a massive angle. Look at all that damage I get. And he switches right into my guns. What he should have done there is switch upwards, and at least that would have made me... it would have cancelled that angle out. In this case, that one bad play that he made at the start of the dogfight basically screwed him over. He's using his rudders also without any supercharger, and by doing that, he burns all his speed. Easy shot for me. You don't want to use your rudders or anything that slows you down when the enemy is shooting at you, which is what he does quite a lot. You'll notice it is a bad habit, but when you're getting shot at, you want to make sure that you're harder to hit. By using rudders, he's just slowing himself down. The only time I can see that working is if you're trying to rudder and actually getting out of the sight of the enemy. Like if you're just almost out of his weapon range, then you can use it. But if you're in the middle of their crosshair, just get out of there as fast as you can. This time he's flying quite well here. But again, I'm able just to consistently cut him. I know he's going to come up vertical, so I'm doing the horizontal. But this game is just weird with the physics. It doesn't feel right. Like I feel like I sag down while doing a horizontal loop. Anyway, I'm right behind him now. It's just waiting for him to make his mistakes. In this case, he's not very good at using the supercharger, so I do always get angles when when we're just looping, I'm the one getting the angles basically, because he doesn't know how to use the supercharger right. So basically what you want to do with the supercharger, and what I see a lot of people not realizing, is use it when your energy is low. So when you're going up in the vertical, supercharger. When you're using your rudders, supercharger. Anytime when your energy is lacking, tap the supercharger on. And this also kind of applies to dogfighting without a supercharger, but you have to kind of think of it in terms of kinetic and potential energy. So kinetic energy is your energy due to your speed, basically, or your velocity, technically if we're talking physics. And potential energy is your energy due to height. And basically, you want to try to use your rudders when you have a lot of potential energy, because you can convert it straight into kinetic energy, and that's when you want to do it. So a high-low yo-yo, I wouldn't use my rudders while I'm yo-yoing up, because I'm losing kinetic energy and getting potential energy. But then when I'm going up to down, that's when I put my rudders on, because I'm converting all that potential energy straight back into kinetic energy. I know that might go over some people's heads, but for you guys who like physics and you understand some of that kind of stuff, you'll understand exactly how to apply that kind of physics knowledge into dogfighting in Battlefield 5. And that is one of the cool things about Battlefield 5 dogfighting. While it doesn't have the hardcore mechanical stuff like speed control, or the aiming isn't quite as insane where you can get a one head-on kill basically like in Battlefield 4 or 3, the game requires you to think a bit about your energy management. It's like War Thunder, and as someone who's, I'm a mechanical engineering student, I do a lot of physics stuff, and being able to apply that kind of knowledge in a fucking dogfight in a video game, that is really, really cool in my opinion, and it's just such a unique experience. So I know a lot of people hate Battlefield 5 dogfighting, but I'm just not one of them. I actually kind of like it. It's not as good as the other games, but I can see the kind of light, and I can see why the game is not as bad as a lot of people say it is. Anyways, back to the dogfight here. I'm basically just, I'm cutting him and I'm just keeping him in front of me. And what I want to do to kill him here is, because he's low health, I'm going to force a head-on. And basically how you force a head-on is turn the exact opposite way to where they're flying. So I use my rear cam to see where he's going, and I turn the opposite way. And even though he gets more damage than I do, because I forced a bad head-on, he's on such low health that I'm going to kill him anyway. And that is a good way to kill someone on low health. Just force one single head-on, and even if you take more damage than they do, you're going to kill them. So that's a good thing to do. Anyways, into this next fight, just going to rep up my health and we'll get started. So you can see here that I don't actually start with so much energy because I was repping, but I still get a really good turn because this guy just has no idea how to use a supercharger. And from the very start of the fight, you can see that he uses his rudders when he's doing a vertical loop. That's just the death sentence. You don't need to use your rudders there. It's a Battlefield 4 technique, I know, but this isn't Battlefield 4. This game is all about energy, as I was saying before. And I like to think that the more efficient you are is the faster your turn. So basically, no matter what, by doing a vertical loop there, he's going to get the same amount of potential energy back. The difference is, by not using rudders, you keep more kinetic energy and you're just flying more efficiently. And because you're burning less speed, that means you're going to get to the next head-on even faster. And in this game, that's basically just going to mean that you're going to get more time on target. And that's the name of the game, really. The more time on target, the more damage, and you're going to win the dogfight. That's literally all you got to think about. Anyways, we're going to go straight into the next dogfight because I didn't take any damage in the previous one, I don't think. So just waiting for him to come back, and this is going to be the last dogfight of the game. If you've got good eyes, you'll notice that the tickets are already at 14, so this game is basically all over. And after the trash talk by that one eye guy at the end of last round, it feels really good to just come into this one, not die a single time, and just really show that Battlefield 5 has dogfighting. And while the skill gap isn't as big as Battlefield 4, if you're the better pilot, you're going to win every single time in a dogfight like this. If you guys like this kind of content, definitely let me know, as I actually enjoyed making it, and it's kind of fun to commentate over these kind of fights and explain what I'm doing. If you want to see more of it, I actually think I know some people who could really push me to my limits in this game, and I think it would make good content if you guys are interested. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed it, please subscribe. I never asked for subs, but 17k would be pretty freaking cool, so if we could get to that, I'd really appreciate it. And even if you aren't subscribed, if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate that too. It actually helps me a lot if you guys watch the videos through. And if you like the video, like it. And of course, if you didn't like the video, dislike it. And please leave a comment why you didn't like it. Anyways, that's it for the game. Shout out to these two guys for actually giving me some fair dogfights. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.